Hey everybody, how's it going? So this is going to be a quick video, hopefully pretty quick, about using your Ideamaker. We're switching over to Ideamaker if you want. So if you're using Cura or say Matter Control or whatever slicer you're using. So specifically we're going to talk about using this for those that have a CR-10, but it applies to whatever. If anyone's, it doesn't matter what kind of printer you got. If you're looking to give a new slicer a try, Ideamaker is a good option. And I'm not affiliated with Ideamaker or Raise 3D or anything like that. I've been a diehard Cura user for the last several months, and from version 15 to 2 to 2.4, 2.6, 2.7, and I noticed quite a bit of a quality drop off in the latest 2.7. And sort of racking my brain over a couple things, and so I started looking a little bit on slicer alternatives, and stumbled across Ideamaker, and actually stumbled across it a little while ago and never really played with it until recently. I've done probably a dozen or so prints out of it, and I really like the quality. And one of the things that I think I really like the most out of it is that the estimated print times are much more accurate than Cura. So on something on the order of, if I get an estimate of a 7 or a 10-hour print, the print's finishing within a couple of minutes of what the estimate is, or quite a bit less than what the estimate is. So last night I think I had a print that was supposed to take 7 hours and 34 minutes, was what the estimate was on Ideamaker, and it finished in 6 hours and 55 minutes. So very, very odd if you come from the Cura world to come in and see that your print time was less than what it had estimated. Usually with Cura you're looking at something that's 25 to 40% more than what's been estimated. So anyway, I'm not bashing Cura, I love Cura, but this has, Ideamaker's been a pretty solid alternative, and like I said, I've been getting some really good quality prints out of it. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about how you're going to go set up Ideamaker for the first time. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, you just go to Raise 3D. So yes, they make the Raise 3D printers. They also sell, or they don't sell, it's actually Ideamaker's a freebie, similar to Ultimaker makes Cura, so it doesn't matter. So you just go to the Raise3D.com website, go to products, select Ideamaker, go download it. It's pretty simple. Once you download it and you want to get it set up for the first time, you double click and you open it up. This is your workspace and all the good stuff. Before we get into any of this, let's set it up to work with the CR-10, because that's typically the first thing. And there's a couple little tricks right when you're starting, especially when you're going to slice, that you'll be scratching your head over. And I don't know exactly why they did it this particular way. Seems a little quirky, at least from a setup perspective, but after that it's really pretty intuitive. And most of the controls you'll see are very similar to any of the other slicing programs you want there. It's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. So what you're going to do first is go to printer. You're going to go to, the easiest thing is just to go to configuration wizard. So I've already got a couple of CR-10 profiles in here, but what you're going to do is the CR-10 is not going to be a type for you to pick. So you're going to come down and you're going to pick others. You're going to get this add a printer thing, so let's just call this CR-10, and I've already got one, two of them, so I'm going to do a third. And then you're going to set your basic stuff. So basic nozzle diameter for the CR-10's 0.4, build volume, so we're going to do 300 by 300 by 400. I'm going to leave my steps right where they are. My X and Y I'm going to leave alone. I'm going to tick that I have a heated bed. I have one extruder. I'm not going to mess with any offsets. I am going to make sure I change this primary extruder from PLA 3mm to PLA 1.75mm, and then OK. And so now you see it's here, it's named. It's going to go through and ask you some of the same questions again, just in case you forgot. So yeah, one extruder and heated bed, hit next. And your filament type, just confirming what you've already selected, PLA 175. And if you want to do PETG, do PETG, whatever. But I'm going to show you how to do another filament profile that's also attached to this printer profile. So I'd say just pick PLA for now, just so we're all on the same page. Finish. So now you're kind of ready to start. So let's go through. Let's just load up a Benchy. Everyone loves Benchy. So you go to Add, click Benchy. And here you go again. It just assumes. It's not like in Cura where you got to go tell it that uncheck the center bed thing. So it just understands that your 0 is the front left corner, and it loads your model automatically in the center. One of the cool things I do like is right off the get-go is you get your model info wrench over here, and you can say, yeah, so I've only got one extruder, but let's say you're using green filament. So pick the color, let's just call it that green, hit OK. And when you click off, hey, look, I have green, a green benchy, just like it's supposed to look when it comes out nice and smooth and no lines. Yeah, right. Anyway, so let's just talk about a couple of things up here. So the basic views, right? So it's a right mouse click, move it around, all that good stuff, just like you're used to doing in S3D or Cura, one of those. Pan, same thing, right? Up, down. You can left click. I'm sorry, so you're going to left click to pan around. Move works just like it does in Cura. So if you want to move this thing on the X or on the Y or up on the Z, you can. You can also, let's say if it, if you screw something up and you move that over and you say make center, it'll move it back to the center. If for some reason you accidentally drag this thing down and now it's kind of below the bed, say on platform, and it'll move it back up. So that's pretty standard. Rotate works the same as all the other slicers. Hit rotate, you can click and drag and move this guy however you want. Okay, reset. Scale works the same. So if you want to blow benchy up to, let's call it 200, great, you can, just like that. Uniform scaling, you can have it switch over to inches, which is a huge no-no in a 3D printing world. Hello, no inches. And then free cut. So the other cool thing is free cut. So like in any other, like the modeling programs, you can actually go ahead and slice this thing and either have two separate models, or you can discard part of it, whatever you want to do. This is kind of fun. So like let's say you wanted to slash benchy in half. So I'm going to go ahead and move him over to let's just call it 90. And I'm going to cut that. So now I've got two halves of benchy here. And you can tell down here in the corner too, it's actually saying, hey, you've got the non-manifold edges. So it's telling me, hey, you've got a problem here. So let's do this. I'm going to highlight that guy, and I'm going to delete that part of benchy. So now I just got half a benchy here. Let's do this. So now that we know we have some problems, let's repair him. So this will get rid of all those non-manifold edges. And there we go. So now we're all set up. We got a half a benchy here. So I'm going to rotate benchy, and I'm going to print him out on his other side to 70 mark. Come on, there you go. So now I'm going to print benchy on the side. Now I have a sinking benchy. I love it. I'm going to need a bigger boat. So that's the scale and the free cut we talked about. Now let's talk about support. So supports are pretty cool. For this demonstration, let me just go back to regular benchy. So I'm going to highlight and delete. I'm going to bring regular benchy back in. So let's talk about support for a second. So support, you click on support, you've got your model selected. Now just like with Cura or any other ones, you can select if you want to do supports everywhere or just touching the platform. And you get a pillar size, and you get an overhang angle. So this is all very similar. So let's just do it everywhere. So I'm going to say create auto supports, bang, throws them all in. So this is showing me that these are my pillars. They're 5mm in size, and they're only throwing them where I'm at 55 degrees or more of an overhang. So you can see where it's tossing them all in. If you want to clear those, you can. So one of the big benefits too is, well, let's try the just touching platform. Create. There we go. We've only got those little two. No big deal. Pretty cool though. Now if we want to do, so I'm going to clear those again. If we want to do a manual support, so this is one of the big sort of selling points, right? I know with S3D is manual supports, but you can do this also. I know, and I think Matter Control you can do it as well. But Ideamaker. So if you want to add a manual support, click Add. It's going to take your pillar size and overhang value stuff, and it's going to just let you stick it wherever, whether it's touching the platform, the build platform, or not. So I'm going to go ahead and stick one here. Hello, here. Oh wait, sorry, gotta touch that. There we go, I got it. I'm gonna throw it in this window, bang. So there we go, there's manual supports. I'm gonna throw it in that window, So I'm going to be support crazy on this one. If you want to remove them, you don't like them, click remove, click that guy, and they all magically go away. Okay, so obviously though, Benchy doesn't use support, so we don't care. But really handy if you do have a model and you want to do some custom supports. You know the CR-10 can handle more. You know, something like a a 70-degree overhang. So touching only, great. There you go. So so your printer better than anyone. Max fit blows it up to the bed. Duplicate. So you want multiple benchies. Hit duplicate, just like in Cura. Okay, I want 3 of these guys. So now I've got 4 total. Okay. Click off, and they're all going to be green. Sweet. So now let's say you've got the model like where you want it. Now you haven't specified infill or any of that stuff yet. You're just positioning the model and getting it ready to slice. So here you can either what's on the build plate, you can either hit the I or you can hit the start. They do the same exact thing, but that means start slicing. So you can see we've got our profile here, and we see we've got our extruder. But if I go slice, it's going to say, hey, go select a template, and you're going to be scratching your head. This is that little gotcha that I was telling you about. You don't have one, and it's not straightforward on how to do it. So the easiest way to do it is say duplicate, and just go pick like a Raise 3D into, okay, and pick the PLA 175. Pick high quality, pick standard. Screw it, standard quality. That's going to be like a 0.15 or 0.2, and then name it. So CR-10 PLA. Okay. And so here's now where you can start getting into setting up your fill, your shells. So this is where you want to set up your defaults, like your default profile in Cura. So let's say you normally would like 15% infill. I like 4 shells. Standard, I use skirt. And support, I leave it at done. And basically what will happen is if you've specified support, and when you go to slice, it will say, hey, you've added support. Do you want to include this in your slice? You just say yes or no. It's pretty cool. So you say, hey, Mark, that's pretty basic. Yeah, go to advanced. And then you get your different layers. So here's where we can specify our layer heights, first layer heights, things like that. So let's start at the top. Layer height, let's just call this one. We're going to do a 0.2. Our extrusion width is 0.4 because that's our nozzle. Now, whatever you like your default printing speed to be at for your normal stuff, this is where you plug it in, because you can always go tweak it, and it's fine. So I like a default printing speed around 50. I like my inner shells around 40, if not maybe even just a little faster, because I don't really care about my inner shells. It's my outer shell, right? The one that matters. What matters most is how you look on the outside, everybody. So 20 or even 25, that's fine. And then your Z-axis movement. Primary extruder, again, you have 1. So skirt loops. I like 3 skirt loops. I like 8 brim loops if I'm going to use a brim. And I like my skirt offset distance to be 5 millimeters. I don't like it super close to where I'm going to be printing, just in case you get some hairy skirts. And then my first layer height. So, remember this was defaulted at 1.5, and they're saying first layer height 3. Maybe for a Raise 3D, that's cool. You don't need that with a CR-10. I just like it maybe just a hair over 0.2. Sometimes I just leave it at 0.2 because I'm pretty confident with my bed level, not to brag. But anyway, you put it at whatever you want to do. So 0.25, if you want to do it at 0.3 first layer, that's totally fine. This is where you do all that. First layer flow, 100%. If you want a little over squish, up your flow rate. First layer speed is 30. I like that because I like a slow first layer since it promotes adhesion. Infill. Again, we're only working on one extruder here, so that's the only thing that shows up. How fast do you want your infill speed? I don't like it much faster than my normal speed. I mean, a little faster is fine for me, but I don't go crazy. Infill overlap, 15%, right? This is the amount overlap your infill will overlap your shell, 15%, and then I like an infill flow rate of 100%. Add strength, why not? And this is where you can specify whether you've got a grid pattern or a rectilinear pattern. And then here's where you can specify your top and bottom layers. So bottom solid fill layers 5, top, that's all good. Bottom solid fill speed. I like to slow this guy down. Top, since the top is largely where the magic happens, I like to have that slow. and bottom solid fill flow rate. So I pretty much leave my flow rates alone. I calibrate my E-steps on the control box. So I know out of the box mine was set at like 93. I know after I've calibrated it's really about 101. So I do all that on the box. You can do it here if you want. Not right here, but I'll show you where. Supports, here's where you can do your supports. So as far as your support speeds and things like that. So your support type, normal or pillar, your infill type, line or grid, and then here's all your support speeds, your infill ratios, all that good stuff. So go through it, because then you can even pull up your Cura and have Ideamaker next to it. You can pretty much go line by line, and if you've got a decent, at least a profile you like in Cura, you can almost line up all of these line for line with Ideamaker. But I think you'll be surprised at the quality difference that comes out of Ideamaker. So anyway, and we keep going here. So dense support. I have not played with dense support, but I think that this is where you can do dense or wide to dense infill ratios as needed per the height of the support. So if maybe it's not as dense low, but as it gets to support the actual part of the model that it needs to support, then it becomes more dense. And then you can do an infill angle percentage if you want to do that. Raft, if you're using a raft, all the standard settings there. Cooling, so default fan speed, so 100%. So again, if you're using PLA, this is fine. Your default, maybe you'd rather 75%, so it's only going to go to 75. And then, but you can always set your max and your minimum. Here's where I like to do my default bed temp. So for PLA, I do 50. And let's just call my primary extruder my normal PLA stuff. My average is around 200. Every roll is different. If you're not doing a temp tower for every roll, shame on you, but I'm not here to lecture much. And then ooze, so this is where you're doing your retraction settings. So retraction speed, I find a 60 millimeter traction speed and a retract amount of about 8 works pretty well. Minimal travel, that's fine. Minimal amount. Extra restart amount, I leave all that alone. Restart speed, Z-hop at retraction, I do just a hair at 0.2. So that the nozzle hops just a bit while it's retracting and moving to the next layer. And here's where you can also force retraction on the layer change, right, on or off there. If you want to avoid traveling through holes, you can do that, so you don't get any hair in the openings in your model, if you want to do that. And then avoid retraction inside model. This is just so, right, so if you're printing infill or it's moving inside the nozzle from point to point, why retract? It's sort of a waste, unless for some reason it's going to be showing part of your print. But that's your model better than anyone, so, but that's what that's for. Enable a wipe wall, that's kind of cool. So when the print starts, it acts a little different than Cura. So it will actually pre-prime the nozzle, and then it will, by basically shooting out a bunch of filament, and then it'll move over and wipe it, and then it'll go start printing your skirt or your brim. So that was kind of cool. It freaked me out the first time I saw it, like I thought the thing was broken, but it actually is a pretty cool thing because it pre-primes the nozzle. And I know that's why the skirt's there, but it's a little extra. So if you've done like a filament change and you want to purge anything before it potentially jumps out, that was kind of cool. And then so if you want to do vase mode, hey, vase mode, there you go. Merge open segments. I haven't played with a lot of these, so you might have to go mess with it a bit or go read up on their website on how to use this. Print external shells first, so this is the outside in versus inside out that you would normally have in Cura. Check thin wall, single extrusion width, so you can do that as well. And then if you wanted to do like a posit height for whatever, you could. I have not found a spot just yet, like in Cura, where you can do a posit height and then go park the print head somewhere. So I'm still looking for that. And if you want to mess with your G-code directly, just like you can in Cura, it's right here. So once you get all of your settings all good to go, you hit OK. And we're back here to our template. We say OK. So now we've got our template here, because remember before this was blank. So now you've got one. Slice. Manual supports have been added, but support option is disabled. Do you want to add supports? For Benchy, I'm going to say no, but this is where, if you were playing with supports up here and you did add them, this is where you'd actually want to say yes. For here I'm saying no. So it will slice. And so this is one of the differences too, where in Cura it would pre-slice it for you, and you could switch to layer mode and you could look at the layers up and down, and well, you've got to do this extra step first. So here's where you're getting your estimate. So here's your G-code. It's telling me 7 hours and 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Holy crap, giving me seconds to print 4 benchies, and your estimated time and amount, and then it's giving you a price based on your filament dollars that you've thrown in already. I think I forgot to show you that. So you can export here and send it straight to your USB, to your thumb drive and go print. But if you want to look at the slice view, hit preview. This little extra window will open. And here's the normal lovey-dovey layer view that you're used to seeing in something like Cura. And all you do is, if you want to look top to bottom, bottom to top, you grab your slider and you just start moving. And it'll show you your infill layers, all that good stuff. So if you only want to look at the current layer being sliced, which is actually a pretty cool little view, this will tell you, at least tell you, if you're going to have any issues. If you want to see retraction, where that's going to occur, and if you want to see your travel moves, there you go. Now your selection here is extruded color or the structure. The structure is probably a little bit more what you're used to if you've been using Cura on how this thing looks when you're looking at the layer view. This is much similar to, a lot similar to that. So anyway, there you go. You can click that and do a 2D view, which basically just shows you top down, right? Yay, haven't found a big use for it yet. But again, right, you can see all of your skirts and anything like that. So when you want to get out of this, close, get out, and then go export, and then go save that off to your thumb drive or wherever you want to send it. Now, so I'm going to close this. There is this connect option here. So actually, with Raise 3D printers, you can connect them wirelessly. I have not found a way yet, and I haven't honestly tried to say go throw my laptop and hook it up via USB and then try and connect that way. I haven't played with it. Don't know if it works. Go try it. See what you think. But I print exclusively off the SD card. I don't want to deal with having a computer get in the way and decide to reboot or apply updates or screw something up. So I'm fully committed to the SD card. Less moving parts to jack things up. One other thing though that I did want to show. So I'm going to go ahead and delete a couple of these, because I know also one of the things that you can do is like Z-seam. The seam for where you are, where your layer changes happen. So if you go in here to, if you go to slice this again and you go edit, we go to advanced, we can specify a seam. If I can remember where, I think it's ooze. Ooze. Am I lying? I'm not lying. There we go. Ha ha ha, not lying. So under other, layer start point nearest, fixed, or random. So this is like shortest, random, or user specified in Cura. So if you want to specify where your Z-seam is, you can say nearest, so that just means fastest, right? It's going to, whatever the nearest point is, it needs to do to make that layer change is what it's going to do. Random, right? Throw my layer changes all over the place. Hopefully your retraction settings are good so you don't get zits and blobs. If you want to have a fixed seam, then you can specify where on your X and Y you want it to do that. So on something like, say, a benchy, I'm going to move it and show you. But so my fixed layer point on my X, I'm going to say in the from a millimeters perspective, 150 millimeters on my X, and on my Y, well, I want it towards the back. So if I'm going to have the front of benchy facing me, then I want the seam to be in the back. So therefore, all of your layer changes will be there. So if you do that and you save and close and you slice again, nope, still don't want supports. Let's preview. And let's blow this guy up. So let's see. Does he show me? Where's my retractions? Structure. Where are they? You little bastard. So right there. So there is where my retraction is happening. So it's going to put it as close to that point as possible, right? Because this is the back. This is 150 and 300, right? My 0 is actually up front, so it's throwing all my retractions in the back. So again, you know, if you're doing a cylinder or something like that, that's kind of nice because you've got one seam going up and down. You know, so it all depends. That's my preference. Anyway, that's how you do a couple of those things. So still looking for maybe a couple of improvements with Ideamaker, and I'll keep an eye out for them. But things like neo sanding or you know, ironing, which was, you know, put in I think to Cura 2.7, and a couple of other little nifty ones. But like, you don't have to deal. You can do, you know, their version of coasting and all that good stuff. But I don't know that you really need to. Like I said, go throw in a benchy. Go do the normal. Go do the normal quality. Set up the template like I showed you, and then just go do a check between a Cura sliced benchy and an Ideamaker sliced benchy with very similar speeds, retraction settings, all that good stuff, and go see for yourself which one is better. I can tell you my result is that I like the Ideamaker stuff prints so far better, and if you watch it printing, it's much more efficient. There are far fewer moves to complete a benchy on Ideamaker versus a benchy on Cura. And I think if you pull up your times after sliced and it gives you your estimates, you'll see a noted difference in the estimates, which if you're printing for profit, can make a, you know, a pretty big deal. So right, because I'm trying to do custom prints and pump out stuff for customers, and one, I want an accurate estimate that I can give a customer as far as the time and the material. And I've never really had a problem with the material on Cura. It's always just been the time. But that's a huge benefit. So if I'm coming in at or slightly below, I know I'm not losing my shirt when I get a 9-hour print with Cura that really takes 12. Or, well, let's be nice, 10 and a half. But still, I don't want to have to factor that in and too much guess into my estimates every single time. Plus, I like knowing that an 8-hour print, I'm going to put it on at night, I'm going to wake up in the morning, and magic, I have a new part that I can play with. So anyway, I hope you liked it. Have fun, go play with it. It's really slick once you get in there. And I'll probably do a couple more videos once I figure a few more things out. But like I said, so far I have not been disappointed. So again, thanks, and like it if you thumbs up if you like the video and all that good stuff. Subscribe. I'll keep putting videos out. You know, whether you subscribe or not, I'm going to be putting my crap out. See ya.